When I think about the type of architect I want to be, I think of the environment that made me me. Growing up in an underprivileged environment with constant pressures of gentrification and controlled spaces, I want to change the narrative as a designer and give control back to those inhabiting the space. I've always asked myself, as architects, who are we to dictate how someone uses a space? We draw, we design, and we guide ourselves through influences, but as architects, we will never know how space can be used, and we cannot control this either. Open space designs have been on the rise, illuminating the future as they push back on these brutalist approaches, just like a certain building we all know too well. As we reflect on these shifts in architectural history, we have to ask ourselves, is all this openness really open, or is it just making us think it is? Some can say the same about gentrification. Modernism continues to grow as we see buildings being made to fit a single narrative: openness, using elements like open floor plans and grand windows. It's hard to walk past a newly renovated area without seeing these forms take shape. While seen in a positive light by most people, these elements, when you really think about it, create limitations on how people can use a space, naturally living up to the name. They assume that this openness equates to freedom within a form, not understanding that sometimes these open spaces aren't adaptable. This push and emphasis on open space only creates constraints as it prioritizes form over building's function. Many people seem to be against containment in private space, not realizing that private space allows you the freedom to choose whether to be inviting or reserved in these spaces. Allowing for the space to be used without the constraints of the form lets people gain back creativity in built environments. Open space isn't entirely bad, but these extreme takes on it have created these issues. Creating these private but public spaces challenges these open ideals as it showcases this harmonious exchange. We see it all the time in Worcester. It is very clear that Worcester has heavy brutalist influence, but does the form truly matter when thinking about the utilization of the space? About all the beauty and collaborative work and designs that have been created within it, the community built within? Thinking about this, can we really deem it the worst building if it's serving a purpose and allowing people to make it their own? These ideas and issues only seem so mere to many people, but when you connect it back to real-world issues, it all makes sense. Just like the progressive nature openness is portrayed as, so is gentrification. I've seen it firsthand, new infrastructures and ideas taking over these structures that were deemed bad. Modern apartments go up and the neighborhood feels brand new and open. This openness serves no one, not the community living there, and certainly not the community that will move in. These buildings all look the same, creating disruptions in the built environment. It might seem extreme to compare these issues to the issue of openness, but I feel as it applies very much as it begs the question, is it really good for us, or do they want us to think it is? Even with these constraints, I've seen how people find creativity in these places as they make their mark in these communities, choosing whether to collaborate or to stay amongst themselves. That is why I find it important to challenge open space and push for a form that not only allows people to choose freely, but also doesn't place constraints on how freely they can think. As I look at my peers and the architects before me, I am inspired by the different approach many take when it comes to architectural styles. And while I do emphasize my ideas, it is important to reflect that with my idea comes the acceptance of other ideas as well. Just as we can't control the space, we also can't control the ideas implemented within these spaces. We can only hope to all contribute to a built environment that fosters acceptance and recognition to all forms. It's only when these ideals harm an environment that I see fit to challenge it. But even then, I have to acknowledge that a lot might not change, and that's okay. That's why it's important to raise my standards of what I want to be as an architect, to hold myself accountable as I dive deeper into my design journey. Being only a second-year architecture student, my design journey so far has been small compared to others. While this might be true, I feel passionately about the work I have done. From the start, it has always been important for me to acknowledge architecture's role in the world around me. As architects, we carry a heavy burden as we form the world. Making sure I understand this idea has been my top priority, even when designing something as minuscule as a cube. No matter the design, it can still carry impact. With the current state of the world, it's now more important than ever that these presented issues shape the way we design, as we are held responsible to ensure access to these spaces for all. Thinking about my future as an architect and the type of influence I want to have, I think about the lasting effects I will have on the world. I hope to leave the world better than when I entered it, and as an architect, I have the ability to make that happen, to create a space where everyone feels free and in control of their lives. I want to create architecture that fosters public privacy. Architecture that doesn't choose for you, but instead allows you to make a space yours, even if it's just for a moment or a passing time, emphasizing flexibility, not rigidness. My goal isn't to control how space is used, but rather letting the space take on its form, because at the end of the day, the space that doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the people who fill it. Being placed into this box allows the free will to think outside of it. It's up to you.